this whole time you were stringing me along. Now I'm crying, I'm trying to hold it down. Told me now you're less sure than before. What did I do to make you walk and close the door? Now I'm crying, I'm trying to hold it down. Oh, but I don't know what to do. What do you suggest I do when a person leaves you blue and that person is you?
Program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, yes, you know it. I know it. It does not matter who the host is of this little show. That is for sure. Anyways, today is Thursday, September the 22nd of 2022, day 265 of the year. And here we go. Only 100 days left before the end of this year, so with that being said, tomorrow we get to double digits with 99. Yep, that's what we'll start talking about. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place that we do stuff at.
Radio Big. USA, Canada, UK.
Yes, hanging out with our friends at Radio Big, getting to hang out, doing the stuff that they do, hanging out, and all that kind of fun stuff. So anyways, how have the last 23 hours or so been, depending on where you were hanging and as we were doing stuff? So are things going well? Are things going fine? Are you having fun? Because that's always an important topic, opposed to just sitting back, relaxing, and going, hey, it doesn't matter what the hell's going on with you. Of course it matters. It's the most important thing going on is what is happening with your day. So here we go. With that being said, let's start talking about what was going on inside of the world of the trends.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so taking it from the top, Letitia James was trending yesterday as hashtag Trump crime family and hashtag Trump is going to jail all landed in Twitter's top 10 trends on Wednesday after the New York Attorney General filed a lawsuit against the former president. We can talk a little bit more about that here in just one bit. Bill Murray was trending as well as fans sent the actor birthday wishes as he turned 72. And last but not least, Tom Hardy was trending yesterday. We can talk a little bit more about that if you are so inclined to do so. And I will tell you, it has some BJJ stuff going on with what we are talking about with Tom Hardy, so you don't have to worry about that. So with that being said, if you want to interact with the show, it's a simple process in doing so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's radio.com. That'll get you into our system. We'll put you inside of there. You can start moving and grooving and moving all around and doing all the fun stuff that needs to be done inside of there. With that being said, that will be the first aspect of it. The other side is that if you want to look at the visual radio aspect of what we're doing, not a problem. You can do that by going to safetyfm.com and clicking on visual radio. Outside of that, we are a radio station that focuses on some other stuff as well, such as podcast and streaming. Of course, our preferred method is, of course, the app, which will get you here. That could be the Radio Big app, it could be the Safety FM app, or it could be the iHeart Radio app, where we can actually be found in the live station section. So there you go. Just type in Radio Big. You'll find us right there. Not an issue at all. Anyways, with that being said, I think that you know that what we talk about here is news and safety and news. So I can bring in the professional broadcasters, let them tell you what the hell's going on inside of this world, and then we can come back, have a conversation about what is going on, and we will wrap it up all in a very pretty little bow just for you. Today, we'll talk a little bit more about some things that are going on the deeper end of the world, so don't worry about that particular matter, and we can get that moving and grooving for you. Anyways, with that being said, I think it is time to do what we do here, and let's start talking about what is going on inside of the world of the news.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Julie Ryan. The President and First Lady Jill Biden are headed to London to attend Queen Elizabeth's state funeral. The Bidens boarded Air Force One at Joint Base Andrews this morning for the flight to the United Kingdom. The British monarch died earlier this month at the age of 96. The service is set Monday in London's historic Westminster Abbey. The Queen's body is lying in state at the Abbey, and lines for those waiting to view the casket have stretched several miles. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says the two flights transporting migrants from Texas to Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts, are just the beginning. DeSantis said the move to put this issue on the front burner for sanctuary cities who often don't directly bear the brunt of people arriving at the border. This comes after Texas Governor Greg Abbott's decision to bus migrants to Democratic-led cities like Washington, D.C. and New York. A hurricane watch is in effect for Puerto Rico as Tropical Storm Fiona gains strength in the Caribbean. Forecasters say Fiona could dump over a foot of rain in parts of Puerto Rico today. The storm is expected to pass over the Dominican Republic on Sunday and turn north along the U.S. East Coast. Forecasters are recommending that people in Florida and on the southeast coast keep an eye on Fiona and have hurricane plans ready to go. Elon Musk is accusing Twitter of fraud after he claims it concealed serious flaws in the company's data security. Musk said on Friday that this should allow him to end his $44 billion deal to purchase the social media company. The Tesla CEO recently amended his previously filed lawsuit after he included allegations made by a whistleblower this week who told Congress about foreign agents meddling on Twitter. Broadway's longest-running show is closing. The final curtain for Phantom of the Opera will be on February 18th, just days after commemorating its 35th anniversary. You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's called for a just punishment for Russia. 5 British nationals held by Kremlin-backed forces in Ukraine have been released in a prisoner swap. Sri Lanka's annual inflation rate hit 70% in August, according to new data, and doctors in England are being told they need to be able to offer patients appointments within 2 weeks, according to new government plans.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
New York and New Jersey are vowing to right the wrongs of environmental injustices. Natalie Migliori has more.
Speaking at a Climate Week event in New York City, Governors Kathy Hochul and Phil Murphy laid out ambitious visions for the region.
Any pollution generated in the state of New York or New Jersey is going to find its way to the other one. We're that close. We're part of the same family, so we believe in working on this together.
Hochul's latest announcement for major green projects would put more than 5.5 million homes on the renewable energy grid by 2030. Murphy also released an aggressive one-year plan to invest in the green energy industry and its workforce.
Losing sleep on a regular basis could increase the risk of heart disease. A new study in the Journal of Experimental Medicine shows that cutting sleep short could harm immune stem cells, which increases risk of inflammatory disorders. The study analyzed blood samples from 14 healthy volunteers who shortened their sleep by an hour and a half for 6 weeks. Police are asking for help catching the real-life villains who broke into a Virginia business and stole rare comic books worth tens of thousands of dollars.
A pandemic and things were tough, and things are just starting to get back to normal, and it's very discouraging when you're a family-owned small business. We got 7 people work here.
Victory Comics owner Jeff Weaver said the thieves went directly to the showcase for the most valuable items. He's offering a $5,000 reward for information and the items returned. Fans of Ted Lasso will soon get to play as the series' beloved AFC Richmond squad. FIFA 23 will feature the show's fictional team as a playable option beginning on September 30th. EA Sports posted a teaser trailer with the animated version of Coach Ted Lasso and Richmond's players like Brett Goldstein's Roy Kent. You're listening to NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
What happened to Philip K. Dick from February to March 1974 would change him forever. For the next 8 years, he attempted to explain in writing his experience of the entire universe transformed into information. Enter the letters, dreams, and journal entries of the mind behind Blade Runner and A Scanner Darkly. Learn the genesis of the Valis trilogy and the stories behind other classic Dick novels. Houghton Mifflin Harcourt is proud to present The Exegesis of Philip K. Dick, edited by Pamela Jackson and Jonathan Lethem. Experience the ultimate quest into a cosmic mystery like no other. Touch genius.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
The WorkWise Summit is an interactive 2-day gathering that will bring like-hearted leaders together like never before as we discuss ways to better align HR, safety, and operations around one common goal: creating the future of work together. Day 1 will focus on self-performance with talks with leading experts on how to live and lead at our best.
Day 2 will focus on organizational performance with discussions on what we can do together to break down silos and foster action. The Work Summit will take place at Coker Tire Museum in Chattanooga, Tennessee on Thursday, September the 22nd and Friday, September the 23rd. For more information, go to workzbe.com/Y Summits. That's WORKZBE.com. Y Summit.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Tearing the ass out of you like gas station sushi.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so there you go. 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Thursday, even though I feel like a few moments ago we discussed news that was outdated. I don't know why it seems that way, but there was a lot of stuff that lady was saying that didn't seem accurate. I'm just telling you what the hell was going on. You know how it is. We keep it as real as possible here because, hey, I don't want you to think that I'm pulling the wool over your eyes because that's not what I'm doing. We're talking about what the hell's going on. And that seemed to be a little bit out of date, so I apologize about that. Anyways, with that being said, let's get moving and grooving and talking about some things that are going on. While many Americans have flocked to here in Florida in the recent months, amid the overbearing pandemic restrictions elsewhere, New Yorkers in particular have moved in record numbers. The analysts by the New York Post showed that 5,838 New York State residents got Florida driver's license in August alone, the highest number for a single month in history, on top of the nearly 42,000 that have moved to Florida so far this year. So there you go. We are seeing the moving and grooving of stuff as things are happening. Now, I take a look at this and go, you know, Florida is a very interesting place to be. The further north you go in Florida, the further south you appear to be. Yeah, I know. If you're here, you'll definitely understand that. And that's probably a whole other conversation to talk about. Anyways, Russian Vladimir Putin has suggested that he will activate the military reservists to bolster his invasion efforts in Ukraine, leading a spike in the internet searches for how to break an arm at home. And according to what the country has seen so far, experts say that they've searched for it in Russian, obviously. The info comes as a Newsweek analyst is publicly available Google Trends and data and measures that are relative search of volumes. Putin has rattled his saber in the recent days, hinting that he is using nuclear weapons to push back efforts against the Western that support for Ukraine. So there you go. That's going to be some interesting stuff going on right there. The Kingdom of Bhutan has sealed its borders in the onset of the pandemic, but visiting was never cheap in the first place. Foreigners could visit the landlocked Asian country before March of 2020 and pay a daily package rate of $200 to $250, which is typically included accommodations and designated tour guide, and that was inclusive of a $65 sustainable development fee. Now, Bhutan is opening its borders again, but the sustainable development fee alone is $200 per person per day and does not include anywhere to stay or a guide. But wait, kids under the age of 5 travel for free, and any kids between 6 and 12 are half off. So I guess if you're looking for a deal, you still have the opportunity of getting the deal. Anyways, 2 people will split the July $1.337 billion Mega Million jackpot, a third largest U.S. lottery jackpot ever. The winners split the single ticket and are opting for the $780.5 million lump sum payout, and they're also invoking their rights to remain anonymous, which they can do in Illinois and 16 other states. I mean, I don't think that's a bad idea. If you do win the lotto, and if you were playing, because that's going to be the other portion, and you do win, I would say probably having anonymity might be the better thing to do. opposed to, kind of blasting it all over the place, that you won. You know how many people you'll have knocking on your door? I mean, I've seen all kinds of interesting stuff when people win on, anywhere from mask to, having their lawyers pick it up. So I guess that's just the way to go about it.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, take a listen to this. Here's the kind of government wealth redistribution that a guy can get behind, and maybe also a gal. The state of Alaska has begun distributing $3,000 checks for each and every citizen paid with revenue-related state oil resources. The legislature approved the supplemental $662 per person on top of the base amount that will hit around $3,000 number. There are also no restrictions on how the money can be spent. I mean, what do you mean there's no restrictions? Like, was there restrictions in the first place? Because that's just kind of weird. I mean, think about it. Just, just a little strange stuff that we talk about from time to time. Anyways, yesterday was a big day in the market. If you were taking a look around, so maybe it is time to bring in some John Small and let him tell you about what the hell was going on.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. Equity markets went on a wild ride Wednesday, moving both upward and downward multiple times during the session, driven by expectations for and then actions from the FOMC. They raised interest rates by the expected 75 basis points, but gave some commentary that is more hawkish than expected. Fed Chief Jerome Powell said the committee will hike rates by at least another 160 basis points before they are through. And the takeaway is that rates could move even higher if inflation is not tamed. The S&P 500 closed down more than 1.5% on the news and appears to be headed for the June lows. The fear for the market now is earnings focused. With inflation out of control and FOMC on track to cause a major recession, the expectation for earnings growth is in decline. At the pace estimates are falling, the Q4 reporting period could very well see earnings decline rather than grow. In that scenario, a move to the June lows may be the least the market should expect from the S&P 500. You can get the inside track at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for that information right there as we are going through all the stuff. So the Dow lost about 522 points on Wednesday to close at 30,183. The S&P lost about 66 points to close at 3,789. And the NASDAQ lost about 204 points to close at 11,220. West Texas Intermediate was trending at, we'll say that it was trading about $83 on Wednesday, and Brent crude was closed out at about $89.83. The national average price of a gallon of gas went up on Wednesday to $3.68. Bitcoin got clobbered on late Wednesday, losing about $500 and trading at $18,350. Now take a listen to this. There were flights of 2,778 that were delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Wednesday, and there was about 68 such cancellations. So it looks like yesterday was an interesting day to travel as well. So let's talk a little bit more about some other things, because it's always important to do so. But take a listen to this. The U.S. Space Force was actually trending yesterday on the charts they released their official song this week, titled Semper Supra, meaning always above in Latin. The Twitterverse less than impressed. One user called the track a Star Wars ripoff, while the other called it, the line that reads "standing guard both nights and day," and tweeting there is no night or day in outer space. So the third user called it grammatically a black hole. Let's take, if we can, real quick, take a little listen. Yep, and that's it. That is not a joke, Ian. No, it is not from some 60s shows. And then we decided to play it now to make it sound like it was something that was legit, because that's definitely not what was going on. So just some information purposes for that one. Anyways, the Federal Reserve is signaling interest rates are not done rising. Take a listen to this real quick.
In its economic projections, it expects rates to be around 4.5% next year. They would then eventually be lowered in the following 2 years. The central bank has been steadily hiking interest rates this year in a bid to fight inflation. It raised rates by 0.75 percentage point on Wednesday in a bid to combat rising inflation. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, thank you, Mark Mayfield, for that information right there as we are talking. So what do you think about this? So how's it going to be at 4.5% next year? It's going to be interesting to see on how some of those changes end up taking place. That is for sure. Anyways, take a listen to this real quick. Mayor Lightfoot is proposing an ordinance to implement a permanent version of Chicago's expanded outdoor dining program. Take a listen.
Making the expanded outdoor dining program permanent will turn what was once a lifeline into long-term assistance.
The program was put into place in 2020 so eligible restaurants could continue to operate on the road on a roadway during the pandemic. The current program is set to expire at the end of next year. The proposal would establish an outdoor dining street permanent to allow eligible establishments to expand operations into the street. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. That is for sure. Anyways, Krunish is officially the newest member of the Chicago City Council. Krunish was sworn in yesterday as the new alderman on the 43rd Ward.
It is truly the honor of a lifetime to be entrusted with this opportunity to serve the 43rd Ward community, which I am so proud to call home.
Krunish to replace Alderman Michelle Smith, who is retiring. A 32-year-old. Krunish is the youngest alderperson. He is also the first openly gay alderperson to represent the 43rd Ward. So there you go. Some information right there as we are talking. What else are we seeing out there just for information purposes to discuss? Rick Caruso and Karen Bass squared off in a debate on Wednesday night as each tries to convince voters that they're the right choice for the Los Angeles mayor. Caruso said that Bass is part of the problem in L.A.
The system, quite frankly, is corrupt. And with all due respect to my opponent, she's part of that system.
Both candidates were asked to describe the state of the city in one word, and both answered the word crisis. Homelessness was the major talking point. Caruso described his plan to build 30,000 new shelter beds within the first year of office. Bass wants to tackle the issue of spending more money on homeless services and building more permanent housing, saying that shelters are no longer effective nor safe. Both candidates are also supporting the continuing LA pandemic relative eviction moratorium that is actually going on right there. Bass also called Caruso corrupt.
In all of his years of being a developer, and if you look at the corruption in City Hall, it's always been around developers.
So there you go. So let's just kind of do blanket statements there is what it sounds like. So there you go. Take a listen to this. A federal judge has given a tentative approval of $54 million settlement between 3M and Wolverine Worldwide for PFAS contamination in Belmont. Attorney Esther Bobrowski represented the plaintiffs in the lawsuit.
You know, they've gone through a lot. They've been through a lot. And I think this is, an excellent result and some closure.
The pollution was discovered 5 years ago. Around 1,700 properties owners will share the settlement based on several factors. A hearing will be held in March for the final approval. Attorney Esther Bobrowski says that the settlement is divided up.
It is not, where everybody gets the same amount. It's divided. It is based on certain criteria. So there's a pretty big range of recoveries depending on the circumstances.
So there you go. Some stuff to talk about right there. That'll be an interesting breakdown. Staying in Michigan for a moment, an art prize exhibit, First Park Congressional in Grand Rapids, is honoring fallen County Sheriff K9 Axel, who died under an undiagnosed heart problem back in 2021. Catherine Van Hinkle drew Axel with a pencil drawing, taking about 7 months to complete.
I wait for inspiration to hit, and then when it does, it's like it comes out of nowhere, and that's what this did.
Well, the inspiration sounds like it went to the dogs there for sure. Axel Partners Deputy Crystal Stewart says that she nearly brought her dog back to life. The dog collapsed while tracking a home invasion suspect. Deputy Crystal Stewart says that Kathy Van Henke nearly brought, what she thought was the visual representation of the dog.
When I walk in here and I see that, it's amazing. It's really touching to me.
So there you go. I'm very moved right there. A Farmington Hills man will be spend between 35 and 60 years in prison for killing his mother back in 2017, and he was 16 and she was 35. Mohammed Atawani was convicted in March and argued that with the judge during the sentencing.
He can die today, and I would not go to his funeral. I would throw a party instead. I don't care about him.
That was the sister of Awani, who showed no mercy in her victim impact statement. Father Basel Awani, whose victim's impact statement defended his son and called him wrongfully convicted. Aya Awani is sister of Muhammad Awani, who was sentenced for 35 to 60 years for killing their mom.
These last 5 years have been a lot. I try to sympathize. I try to be empathetic.
So, very interesting times as we are talking. Anyways, take a listen to this one. Interest rates are increasing again after the Federal Reserve announced the move on Wednesday. A University of Colorado in Colorado Springs says that he is concerned entering the workforce during the time of high inflation.
It's just really challenging for young graduates who are entering the professional world to maybe they can't quite get the start that they wanted.
Aiden Westbrook is graduating from UCCS with an economic degree in December. For students whose cusp of graduating and at a rate of 75% is likely to make more difficult to accomplish their immediate financial goals. The move will impact loans, including credit card interest, mortgages, and vehicle financing. This is the fifth increase in rates so far this year. The UCCS economic professor, Dr. Joe Craig, says this is the biggest advice for graduates to start saving now.
Someone that just graduated, you don't have a lot of equity built up. You don't have a lot of ways to do that. But any little steps you can take to save that money and get a higher interest rate for those savings is a great idea and a great time to do it.
So there you go. Some interesting times as we are talking and going through that whole thing as we are doing. So what do you think about this whole thing? I mean, I don't think anybody appreciates interest rate hikes, but it is something that is going on and that we need to talk about. Anyways, with that being said, it is currently 32 minutes past the top of the hour, and I think, therefore I am, no, okay, maybe that's not so true, but I think it is time for us to talk about that thing that we do around this time.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, it's difficult sometimes to have some conversation about things that happen inside of the work. And it is difficult to talk about some of these things. And I know that this week has been an interesting one because we've kind of went all over the place. And when we start talking about our main stories, we've kind of been all over the place in regards of what we're doing here. And that's not a problem. It's just something that I like to be real about. So, I have been amazed to hear when people say that work is not fair. And I guess that I want to help you realize that work is not fair. And yes, you did hear me say that. And yes, I did say it out loud. And I think it's interesting that it's something that people are hesitant at times to talk about, but I'm constantly amazed at the resilience and the power that people have in their workplace, and they don't realize it. And it's interesting as well that to hear when people speak freely about the methods that they have adopted to cope with favoritism and inequality inside of the workplace, yet within the group of people that I call, co-workers, back in the day, I see a much different picture. Work is not fair. Some people get better treatment than others. Yes, I agree with that. I mean, that is for sure. As difficult as that is to stomach, it's very powerful to realize it, though. It's very powerful to realize that work is not fair, and it is up to us how we're going to decide on how we're going to respond to that fact. And I think it is powerful, and I think that it is freeing to know that by not having, an expectation of fairness, that we will never be disappointed if events don't go our way. And maybe that's something to think about. In lowering our standards and rolling over and letting them win, no, that's not what I'm telling you. Perhaps a person can think that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I submit that knowing that work is not fair is more like a secret weapon as you are trying to adapt to an ever-changing environment. If you put that in the back of your mind, I think it helps you go further to an extent. It becomes difficult for you to react in the way that you may be hurt if you simply do not allow the situations to get to you. And it's amazing the amount of disgust that people have. And listen, I understand that you spend a good chunk of time inside of the workplace. So do I. I mean, I spend a good time inside of work doing the things that we get to do. But I also understand that work is not fair overall. And it's something difficult to cope with. I'm not saying that it's not. But I think that if you remember that work is only work, and sometimes it is not fair, you will actually move forward inside of your work environment. And I know that that sounds crazy. And I know that you're probably sitting there today going, did you get off your rocker in regards of what you're talking about? And the answer is no, I did not get off my rocker. I didn't fall off. Nothing along those lines. But I want you to think about this. I want you to give it some consideration. Think about all of the times that you have been at work and you believe that you were not treated fairly, and you allowed it to personally impact you. If you looked at it the whole time and came to the realization that work was not fair in the first place, how different would life be for you? And yes, I know, shoulda, coulda, woulda. That's not what we're talking about. But think about it if that mental model changes going forward. How different will life be for you in the future? Think about that for a moment, because it's a lot to chew on. That is for sure.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
So do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/1. That's safetyfm.com/1. That's ONE. So just in case, and you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things is mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
Told me now you're less sure than before. What did I do to make you walk and close the door? Now I'm crying. I'm trying to hold it down. Oh, but I don't know what to do. Do you suggest I do?
Okay, there you go. 42 minutes past the top of the hour. That is Crying by Dora. The song's readily available on Spotify and iTunes. You are listening to the Rated R Safety Show. Thank you to Dora for allowing us to play this here. So there you go. Let's get back into what the hell we have going on this morning, because, you know, we need to talk, move, groove, and we have you for a limited time before we go over to the Rated R Safety Show at Rated R Safety Show. Listen to me, to Jay Allen of the Morning Show on Radio Big. You see, this is the problem that I run into about having two shows back to back with two different names, opposed to just doing one 3-hour version of this grandioso thing. Maybe that's the easier way to do it. Anyways, with that being said, it is time for us to talk about the most important thing that I will ever get to talk to you about in my lifetime, and that's my friends at the 9888 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help you prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you and loved ones, and best practices for professionals in the United States. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org, and that will get you moving down the path. Additionally, you can also text the word TALK to 988, or you can just call 988. If you're based here in the United States, that will get you into their system, and they can help you at any time. They are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Listen, I know that sometimes we go through struggles and don't know where to turn, but my friends at 9888 Lifeline can help you. That's for sure. They can also tell you what providers and professionals are available in your area if you don't want to use the ones that are readily available online. So there you go. Some information to think about as we are talking on this all-important Thursday and doing the stuff that we get to do. Anyways, take a listen to this real quick. General Motors is going from electric cars to electric carts. Yes, I did say carts. The automaker is launching a battery-powered cart designed for grocery pickup services. It is being marketed under GM's Bright Drop brand, which sells electric commercial vans and other tech. The Bright Drop Trace grocery features 9 temperature-controlled drawers and weatherproof for all use throughout the seasons. It can handle loads up to 350 pounds, or that's 160 kilograms, just in case, and reaches speeds of 3 miles per hour or 5 kilometers per hour. The idea is that Trace Grocery allows employees to place customers' orders and direct into a specific compartment of the unit before they are parked curbside for pickup. The customer then pulls the e-cart and gains access to their grocery using a verification code through the store's app. Grocery retailers like Kroger have been testing the Trace, which is expanding to other retailers and will be widely available in 2024. So anything to avoid self-checkout, I guess, is the key. And why on earth do they need 9 different temperature zones? I certainly don't have 9 different temperature zones once I get them home, so maybe that is something to think about. I don't know. What do you think about this? You know, I always love tech, but man, sometimes things get spacey and weird. That is for sure, as we are talking.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so take a listen to this. You know that the early bird gets healthier? Yeah, take a listen to this. Early risers who remain active throughout the day tend to be more content and sharper mentally, especially in older age, according to scientists at the University of Pittsburgh. In a study, they found that seniors who get early and stay busy all day are both happier and perform better on cognitive tests in comparison to those who are irregularly daily activity patterns. The researchers say that they have findings that suggest that having a regular activity plan or active routine could help contribute to happiness and mental acuity. The plan could include scheduling a time to meet friends or neighbors, enjoying sunshine, exercise, and eating on a regular schedule, and caring for their pet. I almost said carrying out their pet like their food or something. It's not getting up early that's tough. It's staying at the active part when all of the people that are capable are, sitting at home by 2 p.m. in their chair with drool rolling down their chin. Okay, maybe that was a little bit too much in saying it, but something to think about for sure.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Well, take a listen to this one real quick. If you are a night owl and you may be at a higher risk for type 2 diabetes and heart disease, a new study found that night owls were having the habits of being able to get it and had a lower aerobic fitness level and burned less fat and rest and while active in the early birds in the new study by the researchers of Rutgers University in New Jersey, night owls were also likely to be insulin resistant. Early birds also tend to perform better in school and are more active throughout the day, which maybe partially explains why the study found that they have less risk of cardiovascular disease. In this job, I get up so early that I swear that I still have on yesterday's clothes. And I guess to an extent, I probably do when I really start giving it some thought. Now, that's kind of a crazy one.
Always replicated, but never duplicated. Rated R Safety Show.
So there you go. Some information right there. So still a lot of stuff to share with you. Little time to do it. So I have to figure out which ones are important. And I think it might be time to cover the tech roundup with Mark Mayfield.
Amazon is introducing its newest round of Fire 8 tablets. Of the 4 new models, the Fire HD8 retails for just $99. According to Amazon, these tablets are lighter, thinner, and faster than the previous generation, as well as cheaper than Apple iPads. All models are available for pre-order and are expected to start shipping next month. YouTube has a new revenue-sharing model for creators of popular short-form videos. The company is trying to compete with TikTok, which continues to gain market share. YouTube's growth rate in the second quarter was the slowest since Alphabet started breaking out the unit's revenue in 2019. And the soon-to-be-sold Phoenix Suns could have some serious financial heavyweights from the tech world lining up to buy them. Among them, according to ESPN's Ramona Shelburne, Amazon founder and ex-CEO Jeff Bezos and the widow of the late Apple co-founder Steve Jobs, Laureen Powell Jobs, could be potential suitors to purchase the Suns. Tech Report, Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
Okay, so thank you right there for that information, because I always think it's important to find out what's going on inside of the world of tech. If we've ever hung out, you know I'm a techie when it comes to all that kind of stuff. Anyways, 50 minutes past top of the hour. Let's get the Motivation Minute coming your way right now.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Todd. Gandhi said, "Hate the sin, love the sinner." I did not know that was the origin of this quote. I've heard it so many times in my life. Growing up, I remember this being said a time or two when somebody was doing something bad. My mom is one of the kindest people I've ever met. She truly inspires me to be a better person. I grew up with 2 brothers and 3 sisters. We were definitely a handful. We tested her patience more than a few times, but she kept her cool. And when we did do something wrong, I knew she loved me even when I was being punished for it. And I am absolutely positive I deserved it, and probably much more. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlessaMorgan.com. Omega-3 is incredibly important for early neurodevelopment. Meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials and prospective studies have found IQs of children whose mothers consumed fish during pregnancy nearly 5 to 10 points higher than those of children whose mothers did not eat fish. Babies born to mothers supplemented with DHA during pregnancy were found to have larger brains than babies born to mothers taking a placebo. And in fact, the opposite is true. Deficiency in the DHA omega-3 fatty acid during pregnancy results in poorly developed neurons and decreased synapses in the developing brain. Pregnant women are often told to avoid high-mercury fish, such as tuna and swordfish, but this leads many women to reduce their overall intake of all fish and seafood during pregnancy. And that is a mistake. For more information on wellness and nutrition, check out AlessaMorgan.com.
Here is another bit for our competitors to copy. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so there you go. A lot of stuff still going on, a lot of stuff to still talk about, so don't worry about that. Because info I got, time we're running out, that's what happens. So with this being said, do you want to hear about some politics? I think we should, because it's been a hot minute, so let's do this. Let's bring in some Mark Mayfield and let him tell us about what's going on with political news.
Former President Trump is arguing that the New York Attorney General suing him has had it out for him for years.
This was just a continuation of a witch hunt that began when I came down the escalator at Trump Tower.
On Fox News, Trump said Letitia James' long campaigned to get him. James has filed the lawsuit against the former president for allegedly inflating his net worth. The civil lawsuit also accuses Trump and his family of falsifying business records to obtain loans, stretching asset valuations, and committing insurance fraud. Trump defended his practices, calling it a continuation of the witch hunt against him. House lawmakers have voted to approve legislation that hopes to protect elections from being interfered with by lawmakers. Brian Shook explains.
The Presidential Election Reform Act reaffirms the vice president's role that certifying an election is only ceremonial, while increasing the amount of lawmakers needed in each chamber to object to elector certification from one member to a third of the body. It targets other actions taken by former President Trump, such as making explicit the role governors play in the electoral process. I'm Brian Shook.
The wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has agreed to be questioned by the House January the 6th committee. A lawyer for Ginny Thomas said on Wednesday that she has agreed to participate in a voluntary interview with the committee investigating the Capitol riot and is eager to clear up any misconceptions about her work related to the 2020 election. After Trump lost the election, Thomas sent dozens of text messages to former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows urging him to fight the results. She also urged lawmakers in Arizona and Wisconsin to reverse Trump's loss by choosing their own electors. And a powerful earthquake has just rocked Mexico City. The quake is reported to have a preliminary magnitude of 6.8 and caused buildings to sway in Mexico's capital. There is no immediate word on injuries or damage. This quake hit just 3 days after a major 7.6 magnitude quake slammed western and central Mexico. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, so there you go. Some news going on right there as we are talking about the world of politics. And then you got to take a listen to a earthquake that occurred apparently right there in Mexico City. Anyways, take a listen to this. TikTok star is requiring TikTok is laying out a new grounds rules for politicos who post on social media app. Trey Thomas explains.
TikTok will begin requiring politicians and political parties to verify their accounts, tightening restrictions for advertising and fundraising on the platform. An executive from the social media app said the new rules are aimed at stopping misinformation. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, so there you go. Some information going on in that general direction as we are talking, moving and grooving. That is for sure. Anyways, let's take a look real quick at some things that happened back on this date, because we are right around that section of doing the stuff that we get to do here. So taking a look around, I am taking a look. Let's see. Let's go back to 1975. A crazed assassin outside of St. Francis Hotel in California attempts to shoot President Gerald Ford. The bystander tried to wrestle the gun out of the crazy Sarah Jane Moore hands. She got off a shot but didn't hit her target. The Secret Service hustled Ford away. This was only 17 days after another woman, Squeaky Fromme, tried to shoot Ford in Sacramento, California. So there you go. That happened back in 1975. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, Carlos Correa turns 28, Tom Felton 35, Billy Piper turns 40, Ronaldo turns 46, Chris Tallman turns 52, Bonnie Hunt 61, Scott Baio turns 62, Joan Jett 63, Andrea Bocelli turns 64, Mark Johnson 65, and John Brennan turns 67. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, we have some of those as well for you. And boy, is today a list. American Businesswoman Day, National Centurion Day, National White Chocolate Day, World Car Free Day, Dear Diary Day, Elephant Appreciation Day, Hobbit Day, and National Ice Cream Cone Day. So there you go. If you're looking at some birthdays that are going on, we can go through some of those and get them all, ready to celebrate. And I would say if you do celebrate one, probably American Businesswoman Day, or, I'm going to say National Ice Cream Cone Day. So there you go. Some things to think about as we are talking. Anyways, let's get into some other stuff relatively quick. At the top of the hour, I will be going over to RadioBig.fm if you want to come and hang out and take a listen to what is going on over there. If you do need a random joke for today, I have one. You'll have a successful relationship with a woman if you can't tell the difference between a smile and a warning. So if you can't tell the difference, well, there you go. Anyways, if you need a phone starter for a day, try this. If you could learn the answer to one question about the future, what would it be? If you need a question for if you need something for the water cooler, I can't even talk. Here it is. Here's a survey. In a survey, 29% of people said that this is their favorite thing about fall. What is it? Lower electricity bills. Yeah, it is the first day of fall, so don't forget that. I thought you might tell me pumpkin latte something. So there you go. I have another question for you just in case. 1 in 4 women admit that they have cried here. Where is this? A saloon or a salon, just depending on how you want to take a look at it. So there you go. That's going to pretty much end our time together on this lovely Thursday. Thank you, if I can say this, for being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big. We could not do what we do here without you, the most important part. Listen, you are the ones that put the grease on the wheels and make everything happen around here. Without you, we would not be hanging out and doing the stuff that we do. I know that all of the other individuals that are related to both stations are always happy when you are here to interact with us, and so am I. So just want to let you know that. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. An unfulfilled vocation drains the color from a man's and woman's entire existence. Think about that today, especially when you tie in the main story as well. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.